I'm Sven Harvey.
And I'm David Zwicker.
And tonight we're looking at the video and computer games to do with Transformers.
Now you see, I enjoyed the Transformer games. I've got to confess, you've got a few here I haven't actually played.
Yeah.
You're missing one of the Commodore games that I loved. Who produced that one? Activision,
yes. Yeah. There was literally, this is actually the first of the Transformers games that were released. This was 1985, came out on Commodore 64 and ZX Spectrum, and it's basically a platform game, but has some really good music in it. Fred Gray got involved in doing music on that, so that's pretty cool. The Activision one again, that was more of almost a strategy game until he came up with one screen where he blasted the Decepticons, wasn't it?
Do you want to have a real giggle for our American fans and actually show them what that is? They didn't get the C64 and the Spectrum.
Well, they got the C64, the Spectrum not so much, because the Commodore 64 was a Commodore product.
I didn't think they got them.
Oh yeah. It depends on how your definition of got them. If they got them on sale, I don't think they got them. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the Commodore 64 to American people would probably be more of an actual computer.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, it almost got used as a games console.
Well, it was a games console first time.
And then you had the Spectrum over here as well, and the Amstrad CPC.
Funnily enough,
I don't think did anything over there at all.
I knew people that had both machines, and everybody said that the C64 was for gaming and the Spectrum was for programming. Which I never understood it, because the keyboard for me was never...
I mean, it was. We were talking about around about the same time as you had the Tandy Stroke Radio Shack TRS-80 and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and Sony did a home computer project with Microsoft.
Interesting comment. So, tell me about the PlayStation ones, because I know the PS2 ones.
To be honest,
I don't know those.
we are missing. There was Famicom games and Super Famicom games and stuff like that, but they're all released only in Japan. So it's very hard to find them. I know one person who has pretty much all of them, which is Simon, who's running auto assembly these days, because that's one of the things he really got into when I somehow corrupted his soul and turned him into a Transformers collector. He collected the games as one of his things. So sorry, Trish.
It's been trying for me for years, never worked.
But yes, on PlayStation 1. The first of the PlayStation 1 games was Beast Wars, which is a pretty standard run-around sort of like action-adventure game. It's not brilliant, it's not terrible.
Was it in keeping with the animated series?
It was close-ish. It kind of... The bits and pieces in the animated series hadn't been locked down yet.
Yeah.
So it did take a couple of liberties. But it was a fun enough little game.
I love the artwork on the second one.
Yeah, that's actually quite an interesting one. It was originally developed for a Japanese release. It never came out in the UK, but was picked up by Bow Entertainment and Genesia through Genesia.
Why did we not get a copy?
That's actually a really good question. In the States, the N64 version was exclusive to Blockbuster Video. You couldn't actually buy it from anywhere else. You had to rent it from them, and then I think they only made a small amount available to sale, and then it was ex-rental copies after that. Whereas the PlayStation 1 seemed to be a bit more available. But
so that's got to be one that's trading for a fair bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now this was an interesting game because it's beat 'em up.
Okay.
It feels kind of like Battle Arena Toshinden.
Yeah.
In a way. But what they did, they were very, very clever, is they basically presented it to the player as an alternative universe to the second season of TV show, where more of the characters got turned into transmetals.
Okay. What was the graphic engine used for it?
It's just your basic beat 'em up, 3D, rolling around each other, literally just like Toshinden. Okay. So yeah, it was. It's not a bad game. There's signature attacks as well. So, for instance, Silverbolt lifts up and uses his wing missile, which are explosive feathers, and things like that. There's a couple of really interesting hidden characters in it, which don't make a lot of sense unless you know the BotCon exclusives.
Yeah,
which is quite cool.
Which would make sense for the Japanese market. Oh, they're all mad about the BotCon stuff. You know.
Well, yeah, I mean, back then they had their own BotCon. It wasn't just American. So that was pretty cool. We did actually run competitions with that at Auto Assembly.
Yeah.
Tournaments with that the first few years. So that's pretty cool. A little bit of a jump forward. 2004 is when they did a game based on Transformers Armada, which managed to come out after Transformers Armada had pretty much finished. Which is why it doesn't say Transformers Armada on it, it just says Transformers. But it is actually your main playable characters are Prime, Red Alert and Hotshot from the Armada TV show.
Right.
And obviously the toy series. What they did with this is they split away from the original storyline from the TV show. And you are picking up minicons to give you various different functions to the main character, right up to the end where you face Unicron, and ideally you needed to have found every minicon on all the levels to be able to combine them all together into a super battle armor basically kind of thing to take on Unicron,
right.
Which was quite cool.
Now, didn't they do something with this? Because I seem to remember not that long ago you've been really enthusiastic about something you got for that one.
Yeah, I mean this one I'm very lucky because this was originally released in a cardboard box like this.
Yeah.
Normal plastic case inside.
Mm-hmm.
And originally it just had a cardboard spacer just to hold that back from the front. Right. Now these were supposed to be included originally, but never were. There basically was a manufacturing issue or something, and they ended up not being put inside the boxes.
Okay, that was the thing I remember you getting enthusiastic about. It's a comic, isn't it?
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And I was very fortunate that Simon Furman and Andrew Wyman, who worked on the comic, brought some copies along with them to Auto Assembly one year, and I was like, hey, I'll be having one of those, please.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
So they just didn't get put in with the game?
They didn't get put in the games.
But they put the spacer in?
Yeah. Completely bizarre.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, stuff about Energon. So it was literally advertising the following toy line and
have to say,
show.
Not loving the look of that toy.
What, Optimus?
No,
Hotshot.
Bumblebee.
Hotshot.
Oh, is that Hotshot?
It's Hotshot, yeah.
Oh, the Transformers fans are going to be mocking me again.
You used to it by now with Geekology, aren't you?
Yes, it's true, it's true.
Now, what was interesting, they actually did a second release of this as a director's cut, which had blue packaging.
Right.
Which had a making of video on it as well.
Okay, but was there any change to the game?
There's no change to the game.
It was just the
However,
video.
It was the only, this version wasn't compatible with the British 60 gig PlayStation 3, and the director's cut one was. So at one stage they were changing hands for £100.
Yeah,
which was nuts.
Well, no, I can understand that because you know I've met quite a few Transformers fans and know how passionate they are about their fandom. But more importantly, you know, a lot of quite hardcore gamers, they all had the 60 gig because they were backwards compatible.
Exactly. So I've actually got that at home. I've got to pick it up because it's in the kids' bedroom if they keep playing it still. So fair enough. That tells you a lot.
Okay,
about
now this is another one. Up until today, I've not seen that one.
Yes. Transformers Takai, I think. It's essentially a Generation 1 game. And the game structure is kind of like a 3D version of Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
So
graphics on it look awesome though.
Yeah, I mean they do look really, really good for the time, but you're literally just going from one area to another, beating the bits out of a bunch of Decepticons who keep respawning, and it's the same character who keeps respawning and stuff like that. The most fun part about this is the intro, to be honest, which is fantastic because you've literally got Generation 1 characters coming in from side to side, transforming into the screen and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
It's presented really, really well. But it does get very repetitive. And when you're comparing... Now, when the live-action Transformers film started coming out in 2007... Live action?
Was it live action with bunny rabbits? When did this become a...
Did you see puppeteers working with those things?
Yeah,
no, they're CG.
When did this become acceptable? Yes, we have bunny rabbits attacking. No, just say the word.
Stampy. Stampy.
Okay,
Maximal Stampy.
When they brought in that Transformers that was awful to sit next to you in the cinema and watch.
Yes, they basically did a tie-in game, which was this one. That one and the following one for Revenge of the Fallen. Were both done internally at Activision.
I don't remember them adding that. Was that a collector's edition?
Can I just add put up? Old school UK fans will know what I'm talking about.
Listen, to be absolutely fair to you, and you know, I feel that when it comes to Transformers, I do cut you quite a lot of slack. Leave the games alone, okay? You don't have to go, it ties in with the film.
To be fair,
they are good games.
But they're not. They're awful. They're both
right.
terrible.
No, they're okay.
The third one was actually quite decent because it was done by the guys who did these two.
Listen, I enjoy playing them. I know a lot of other people who enjoyed playing them.
We'll sort out the psychiatrist later. To be fair, the PSP version of that was okay because you could reskin all the characters as the G1 ones.
I never bothered.
Yeah, fair enough. That's cool. But literally between the Revenge of the Fallen game and the Dark of the Moon game, that's when War for Cybertron came out and snuck out. To the point where virtually nobody knew it existed. In the UK, it got buried. There was virtually no sign of it anywhere. To the point where I didn't even know it had come out until... And I was working in video game retail. I didn't know it had come out until after it had come out. And we basically, in my store, we got copies that were allegedly an Amazon exclusive. So this literally turned up in a delivery, and I was like, okay, exclusive playable character Autobot Jazz, and I'll be buying that at the end of the day. Basically is how that went. And it was really, really good. What they did with this is that it's basically the G1 characters before they left Cybertron. And it's really, really well done. The storyline's really good. War for Cybertron as well, you actually have the choice of picking Autobots and Decepticons, and you actually get half of the game is on one side and half the game is on the other. And if you start with Autobots, you actually start halfway through the game, because the first half is for the
I started with the Decepticons.
You would? Yes, Batman fan.
The Decepticons have got a more interesting backstory.
But it's like it even introduces Starscream as an Autobot and then switches sides and all this kind of stuff, so it's actually really, really well done. Now, High Moon did that. It is High Moon, isn't it? I'm not going completely mental. Yes, High Moon Studio. They did that, and then they went on and did Transformers Dark of the Moon game. And then came back and did Fall Cybertron.
Now, it has to be said that's one of the best PS3 games I've played in a long time.
Yeah, now it does follow on from War for Cybertron directly. It introduces Bruticus and a couple of other characters, and again the storyline's actually really quite cool. The gameplay's not as good as that one.
You see, yeah, but the graphics look better.
Yeah, the graphics are a bit better, to be fair. But as far
but
as
you are right, the gameplay's
not quite as good. I mean, it's not far off.
I think they've got the pacing wrong.
They've got the pacing, definitely got the pacing wrong. And the fact they were flitting from beginning to the end of the game and stuff like that in the setting, which didn't help it. But it saves itself by the fact you have playable Grimlock. Frankly, where you have a character who keeps getting stuck in one mode and has to raise his ferocity to his anger to get into the other mode. That's actually really quite cool. What was really nice as well is that literally leads on to the original shit TV show, though it's supposed to be set in the aligned continuity, which includes Transformers Prime. But basically at the end of this game, the Ark's just gone through the spatial anomaly and is ending up going towards Earth, so that's quite cool. Which does mean that the follow-up game doesn't make any sense. Which is the game that, at the time we're doing this, is out tomorrow morning. And sounds like utter dribble. Because it's not the same development team. They're basically doing it as some of the game is with the War for Cybertron and Fall Cybertron stuff, and the other half of the game is mixed into the new movie. Yeah. Interesting mix. Yeah, and
I thought they took place in different universes.
Yeah, it's supposed to be all the same aligned continuity though, so it doesn't quite gel. It doesn't make any sense. So from what I understand about the game, you actually switch between modern day Earth with the characters in the film and back to Cybertron with this aesthetic. And there's also downloadable content of Optimus Prime's G1 form, which is really can't fit in any way, shape or form. So yeah, but I've already spoken to some guys over in the States because it's been out since Tuesday in the United States, and they've basically been slacking it off left, right, and centre with full-blown Dinobot slacking.
Really?
Yeah. We're talking about Dinobot flamethrower all over it. Whether it's called Slug this week or not, it's been slagged.
I love the fact they had to change the name. It's always funny when they have to change characters' names for different markets.
Yeah, well, no, that was a copyright issue, and the fact that slag has alternative connotations.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I didn't realise there was a copyright issue.
Yeah, there's something going on with it. But they've changed some of the other names of the Dinobots as well. Snarls kept his name. Swoops turned into Straff for the new film. Okay. And it has grown a second head.
Okay.
Grimlock has a distinct Chinese dragon thing going on. But when you find out what happened in the film, that makes some sense, from what I understand. Slag's become Slug, but you've been going with the name Slug for a while. At least it's not as bad as during Transformers Armada days when they did a little range of Dinobots, and he got renamed Tricerodon, fair enough, and then got partnered with a guy called Slapper, which I think is hilarious.
Please tell me
we've avoided Slag and we put Slapper in the box.
Please tell me that in one of the countries in the world they kept both names.
Oh no.
Because a box that says Slag and Slapper, that's a toy.
It could be worse. They could have tried to release a toy called Spastic.
I know it's not just that. So I thought that was fantastic until I saw how much they were retailing for.
Well, they renamed the thing anyway, because this is the thing, is apparently Spastic in some parts of the United States refers to someone who's hyper and on huge amounts of caffeine. Yeah. I'm like, does it?
Really doesn't. You told me that. And I had worked with some American friends of mine and they went, no.
But the bio profile on the back basically says that particular character literally goes off his head and stuff. So
okay. That was somebody in the PR department BSing as much as
possible
they
to get out of what they've just done.
Yeah.
The new game, not all that happy with, but I will probably pick it up if it's cheap at some point. But I'm in no rush to go and spend 40 quid on it for the PS3 or 55 quid on it for the PS4, which I don't have yet.
55 for the PS?
Yeah. So yes.
They do like the retail price on those 4 games, don't they? Yeah. Mind you saying that, the Xbox One ones aren't much cheaper.
Not the same price, aren't they, generally? Now, if you were going to try out a Transformers game for the first time, try and track down War for Cybertron. Yeah. Because it's I would imagine most people watching this probably don't have a PS2 to hand. If you do have a PS2 to hand, try and track that down. Because that, for me, is the best Transformers video game ever produced.
See, I'm going to go for War of Cybertron.
That's fair enough. That's my second.
And preferably 360 version.
Okay, well, I mean, for me, it literally goes number 1, number 2, number 3.
And the PSP version, not even scraping it in there. That's unusual for you.
Sorry.
Did they do any Transformers for the Vita?
Not yet. No.
Are they planning?
Not as far as I'm aware. The new one isn't coming out on the Vita. I think it's coming out on 3DS, but not the Vita.
Oh, okay.
But that's becoming a bit more of a... that's another rant for another time about the lack of things coming out on the Vita. So, yes, do try them out. If you can, if you've got a PS2 and you've never played that and you've dismissed it as just a kiddies game, go find one, play it. It's fantastic.
Okay, so in conclusion, if somebody hasn't really played any of the Transformers games for whatever reason, would you say if they've got a PS2 that this is a good one?
That's my favourite Transformers game of all time.
Really?
To be really honest.
Okay.
Yes. Because it's just really well paced. It's a fantastic game. It's really big as well.
Yeah.
Because you have enormous environments you can just wander around in. If you've got the right minicon, you can fly around in, regardless of which character you're playing, because you can get minicons that give you wings.
Yeah.
So it's really, really well put together and very, very impressive, especially at the time. And the one thing you'll notice is that it's a higher resolution. Before you're wondering what they are, these 3 discs are actually demo discs, which are actually 3 different variations on the demo of the Melbourne Owls Diary game.
Yeah, I like the fact that they actually did different demo versions, because you can play as the different characters.
That was Optimus Prime. That one that hasn't got a name on it is actually, you play as Hotshot.
Yeah.
And that one is played as Red Alert.
Oh.
So that's pretty cool.
Excellent. Right then.
So, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget you can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And if you want to meet us in person, I will be at Auto Assembly later in the year. That's in August.
And I'll be at the Discworld-Con.
You'll be at Discworld-Con. And there's also First Contact Day next year.
There is. Now that is looking good. There's still tickets available.
Absolutely, so check that out when you're going below. It's not just about Star Trek this time around, there's some other stuff going on, and Claudia Christensen's coming, so
should
be really cool. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
Good night.
So thank you very much. Right. Right. Let's just wrap up. What do we want to mention?
Alright, that's it. Hang on.